Yes, we are live. Hello, everyone. You're welcome to yet another fantastic broadcast with us here on We Table It. I'm your regular host, and no, I'm really excited to be here today to be discussing this topic with amazing minds. It's promises to be insightful. We are dealing with raising children in a digital world. We are looking at parental strategies for the future. You are welcome once again. And as you come in, we want to oblige or want to beg you to share. Please share this broadcast as you come in. We want as many people as possible to come and learn from this insightful broadcast. Once again, you are welcome. Pleasure of introducing my co-hosts. I'm excited to have her on board. It's been something to catch her to be here with us today to share from her wealth of knowledge. Yeah, she happens to be my sister. She's amazing, Mrs. Matilda Akonde. You are welcome, my sister. Matilda Akande is a professional. She's an educational administrator with years of experience based in France at the moment. And she's someone who is, who loves to deal with children, who has experience with dealing with children. She's someone we can trust when it comes to anything that has to do with children. She's a professional to that extent. And she's here with us to discuss the strategies for parenting in this digital dispensation. You're welcome, Mrs. Akande. Thank you for joining us here on We Table It. I
Thank
hope
you
you're
enough for
excited
having
to be with
me.
us today.
I am. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And with me again is another very amazing personality. Her name is Adeze Oviayo. She's a nurse by profession and based in the United Kingdom. We're excited to have you. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. Adeze, thank you. We are so looking forward to insights we'll be gleaning from your wealth of experience with raising kids as well. You're welcome to be table it today.
Thank you so much, and it's lovely to see you all. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's our pleasure. Miss Siri, someone at the background, I don't know why your camera is not showing. We would have loved to see your face. And she's going to share one or two as well, or answer questions or ask questions, whatever it is, when it comes to dealing with children in this digital dispensation. She's equally based in France and she'll be sharing today as well. Once again, every one of you are welcome to this live, and it's a great pleasure to be having you with us today. We Table It is a broadcast, I beg your pardon, a platform where with like minds, we have discussions, and from this conversation, the goal is to impact life. The goal is to make our society a better place with the influence that we have. Disseminating the proper information and making sure that those around us are impacted positively from our broadcast. You're welcome once again. So today, we'll be looking at this topic because it is one that's pressing on us so much. A lot of things are happening. We are in the digital age, and we can tell the experiences parents are having is different with what our parents had
Why?
in their
Thank
time
you.
when it comes to raising children. I beg your pardon, I'm having some network glitch. I beg you, bear with me on this. I'm hoping that within the course of this broadcast, the network will improve. Once again, please help us share this broadcast. We want to have more people come on to gain from the wealth of knowledge of our guest today. All right, so raising children in this dispensation is quite different from what we had in the time of our parents or the time of our grandparents, because then kids of then, all they had to do was just come out and play with mud, play with sand, be creative, create any kind of things they can do with sand. They had all the time in the world to play and interact with other kids. But the kids of now, now, keep themselves busy. If you can hear me, keep themselves busy with everything digital device. You see them, they have iPads for kids, they have access to the internet, and now the question now arises: how do we ensure the safety of these children online when we know that there is so much information going online that you cannot, if you are not careful, you cannot, guide the kind of information your children will get from the internet. There's so many issues to look at here while we are talking about raising children in the digital age today. So we're looking at so many, but before I go on to talk about this topic in depth, I want to ask Matilda a question. I want to ask her, how has the rise of digital technology reshaped parental strategies?
Okay, thank you, Anna, for this question. So, like she just said, Matilda Kunde, and I'm glad to be here today. So how has the rise of digital technology reshaped parenting today? So I would say the rise of digital technology has dramatically changed how people parent their children. It is, on one hand, a technology that has given us incredible tools to use in educating our children, and also it has also helped us to entertain our children. However, it's also made parenting more complex due to concerns over screen time, online safety, and the influence of social media. Parents today need to balance giving their children access to this digital tool, and it requires a shift of traditional parenting method on that, to incorporate digital literacy and also help them manage how their children are being taught. So it has really shaped it. It is also a good and a bad thing, in the sense that on one hand it helps digital literacy, excuse me, and on the other hand it kind of breaches or affects the traditional training, the traditional education we've already put in place for our children. So I don't know if I answered your question, but for me, I think it is a sweet and a bitter it has a sweet and a bitter impact on child education today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you just quickly discuss the major challenges of raising children in a digital world, including screen addiction? This is one of the problems even adults face. Now imagine children, they always want to be on the screen. This is what we see every day with kids. So these are challenges: screen addiction, exposure to inappropriate content, and cyberbullying. So what other major challenges would you say these kids are exposed to in this digital world? Yeah.
Also, I would say it affects the act of socializing with others. So basically, you can have a situation whereby when children have access to these digital tools, they end up not like you said in the beginning when you did your introduction, you said when we were growing up, we had this opportunity to go out in the mud and play with other children, and have fun. But today, it's affecting the social contacts they have with other people. They all want to be on their phone, especially those who have access to these digital tools, rather than having conversations with people. They rather have conversations with people who they don't see. People are hiding behind the screen. So it's really affected that part. And whereby we know that social connection is important for growth and for the development of a child. Once that is taken away, what else do we have? We have only what they have, the access to things they have on social media. That's the only thing that is instructing them, the only thing that is that is actually shaping them. So I think that's a major problem, a major thing that affects children today.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
A lot of things could go wrong. Yeah, a lot of things will go wrong if there is no moderated use of the internet space or digital devices. And yes, what do we have if you take away the security, the social life of the child? Thank you for that. Once again, if you're watching us, you're welcome. Thank you. Share this page. It's important that more parents get to understand digital strategies. Parenting strategies, I beg your pardon, for children in this digital age. Thank you. I'm going to ask a question to Adeze. She in a very good position to answer this question. She's a mother that I love so much, the way she handles her kids. I know with her nursing practice, a lot of things go on with managing kids professionally. They say a lot of things with kids. All right, so what are the common, some common mistakes parents make when it comes to managing their children's digital usage?
Thank you so much, Eno. I am a mother of 2 boys, and one thing that we could say for sure is that the children that we are having in these days are quite advanced. It was easier in those days, in the days of my parents. You could tell what the child is doing just by being there. But sometimes these children are just so advanced that you would even try to put these strategies and still they find their way to bypass these things, such as the monitorings you put in place. For me, I'll just give a brief overview. I'm a nurse. I do 13-hour shifts. I'm not always there with my children, and we live in the UK. So, and my husband as well also has his own shift. So it's really hard for us as parents to really be there to know what our kids are doing, although we try to make that conscious effort to be present, and we'll put some controls in place. So what I do in terms of my kids is I had to set up some screen time limit. They know how long they hold onto their phones or to their devices, because most times you're looking at the digital influence, but then I also, as a nurse, I'm looking at their eyes. Can do damages to their set screen time limit. And then I try as much as possible to encourage this open communication and education. Like I said, it's really difficult to be there for the kids. So that time for exclusive monitoring is not there. So what I do is I try to put in gradual autonomy. I gradually decline the amount of, monitoring I give to my kids, depending on their age and depending on their behaviors. So, but I think for us parents, the common mistakes that we do is that we just assume we know our children and we just keep seeing them in that lens, and we don't even try. We try to keep ourselves in that blissful, ignorant stage where we think they are still babies. But the earlier that we come out of this and start trying to monitor our children despite our busy schedules, the better for us as parents. And of course, the most important part is role modeling, because you should learn to practice what you preach, bring your children close to you, communication, show them how you want them to behave by your own behaviors. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, that is quite true. A lot of parents are so busy that they do not have time to monitor, but it's very important that parents should take time out to monitor how much time, they have, how much screen time they have, and the kind of things that they are exposed to. Thank you, Adeze, for that. I would have loved to share real life examples. If you are watching this screen right now and you have any example to give us, when it comes to challenges parents face in, parenting children in this digital age, please feel free to leave a comment. I'll read them out. Trust me, I'll do that. I want to hear from you. I want you guys to share your own experiences. Now, I want to ask Essay, I beg your pardon to this question, but I think I'm in a better position to explain how parents can set age-appropriate boundaries across screen time and internet usage. All right, when I was having a conversation earlier today with one of my sisters, she made reference to, one of the experiences we had with, one of our young chaps. I don't want to expose the young man, messing with his grandmother, so the experience was such that, she buys data on the phone, and before you say Jack Robinson, the data is finished. And she's like, I didn't use this data to do anything. I don't know what. I don't know how this data got exhausted. She had no idea. Parents of the other time, I mean, our parents and some of our generation too, they really didn't have any idea when it comes with digital or internet or whatever. They had no idea. So not until she called the network provider and was complaining that whenever she buys data, it runs off. Did they investigate to see that there's one other number that is, siphoning the data from her own phone, unknowing to her, So this is one of the things when challenges some parents have when they are not, I beg your pardon, when they are not technology savvy. They tend not to know what these kids are doing online. So this is one major challenge. Some parents do not even understand what is it about the internet, what kind of information. Nowadays, children are quite smart. They know a lot. They know how to handle devices even more than you think. Adese was saying something that we shouldn't, underestimate them, thinking they do not know anything. Trust me, these kids, they know a lot. The things you don't know how to do with your phones, they know how to do them. So yes, this is one major challenge. Parents do not even understand what is it with their device, what they can access on the internet. It's a major challenge. So for those of you who really understand what it is, there are ways you can actually moderate your children's usage. There are some kind of softwares you can use, or there are some settings in the apps, like on YouTube. You can set up YouTube for your kids in a way that they can only see their age-appropriate contents. All right. So in most of the platforms, there are ways you can actually set it so that they can only get access to age-appropriate content. If you want more information on how to, set your children's in a way they can, be restricted in their usage, please leave a comment. It's okay to leave a message. We can get to you even after this broadcast. I want to read a message from, or I beg your pardon, a comment from my co-host, Valerie Siganga. Valerie, how are you doing? I think she's at the back end. She may want to join us later. This is interesting. Yes, the children tend to outsmart adults in many ways. Setting those limits on their screen time is a great idea. Yeah, it's a great idea. Is there a tool that you use, or do you manage it through conversation with your children? I think she was making reference to what Adese was saying. Is there a tool that you use, to limit their screen time, or do you manage it through conversation with your children? All right. So on the phone still, there is a way you can set your children's phone. Sorry, Adese.
Yes.
You can set your children's phone, and after a particular time, they do not get to see anything on the phone. You can set it that way. All right. So I will leave Adese to answer that question, please. Adese, go ahead.
Okay, for me, what I do is that the provider, I've got this antivirus provider that has a way of limiting their screen time. So it gives them a specific time when they can be on, and then afterwards it just strips off. So I use that. I also use conversations. And then I also use the Google. This Google, I don't know how to put it, but then there's this settings where you can put up parental controls and put them in a family setting using Google. I think it was my husband that really initiated that, and that really helps a lot. That way we keep an eye. I put everyone as under 16, so that way we could keep an eye on what they're doing, and they don't allow them to go into gambling stations. But then again, we also have those problems where one, just like my son had this issue where he had to buy this Roblox, so many of it, and before it, I was having a bill of about 200 and something pounds to pay. So that one, we had to find out through the telephone provider. There was this subscription you can pay, so that no matter how much the child gets, it would just be limited to that subscription. So there's so many ways around it. It's just having that conversation with your internet provider, with your phone provider, and then just putting those matters in place, as well as Google. Google is also very good. At YouTube, there is also YouTube for kids. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that. You said something about settings. Parental management settings on the phone. When you have that as the family setting, and you can, be able to moderate these contents that are available for your children. All right. I wanted to ask Matilda, but I can't find her on. I think she's going through some network glitch at the moment. So let's see if we can bring her in. All right. I just added her to the stage. You're welcome once again.
Thank you.
All right. I want to ask you, Matilda. At what age do you think it's appropriate to give children access to smartphone? I think this is quite a controversial aspect. People wonder, what age is it okay to say, let your kids handle smartphone or have access to the internet? Please let us know.
Okay, there is no one size fits all answer to this question. So basically, I think between the age of 12 and 13, when you think they're actually
I don't know if it's myself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
can
go
you
ahead,
hear me?
please.
Can you hear me now? Is it good? Is it okay?
Yes, I can. Yeah, it's okay.
So like I said there is no one size fits all answer to this question. So it depends on the child's maturity, like how you see how you evaluate the child's maturity. Normally from the age of 12 to 13, I think they've got into a stage of independence that you can actually introduce access to digital tools, to the social media and the likes of them. But it's also better if it's possible to delay to the age of 14 and 15. Why am I saying that? The first thing is they should understand the risk of the access they can have to these tools. They should understand the risk, and that is also by what Adeze said, talking with them, having conversations with them. That in that way you can evaluate how ready they are to have access to these tools. So like it depends on the child, it depends on the situation, it depends on your evaluation on the child. All these things put together will determine, like parents, it's individual. That's why I said there's not one size fits all answer to this question, because some parents that are not, they have children who are maybe 12, 13, 14, who are not ready, who are not mentally ready to shoulder whatever it is that the internet will bring to them. And I tell them at the age of 12, you give your child a phone. That is an error, because you are giving this tool to a child, or this access to internet to a child, or to the social media to a child that is not ready, that is not mature enough to take whatever is coming, that'll be thrown at him, so it depends on each child, just to summarize my answer.
All right, thank you very much. So Matilda says that it depends on the intellectual maturity of or intelligence of the child. When you have a child that's quite smart and is able to understand whatever you explain to them about the usage of their phone, moderating that, then you can introduce them. Adeze, do you share same sentiments?
Yes.
When it comes to what time should you allow kids to get access?
Yes, I do share same sentiments as Matilda. Yes, because I feel a child needs to be emotionally and psychologically ready to handle to process the risk involved in using those kind of digital materials. And if the child is not, and I also believe in gradually introducing it. Even when you feel the child is ready, sometimes as a parent, you could be wrong. So you introduce it and you give a very close monitoring. You see how the child is doing and constantly evaluate, and gradually and then you could say, okay, yes, this child is ready. So what I would add to it is, when you feel the child is ready, introduce it, closely monitor, see if the child is really ready, then you can still reduce your monitoring, gradually reduce your monitoring, as you deem as necessary, or take the phone away if the child is not ready.
Yeah, so the thing is, just to add, I don't know if I can add something to that. So there's a difference between giving a child a phone and giving them access basically to the social media or whatever it is that comes
All
with
right.
it.
I've
Can you
heard.
hear me? Can you hear me?
I apologize for the glitches once again. Yes, the network is it's
Can you hear me?
busy, but
No, no.
we'll manage. So if
Can
I
you
heard
hear
you
me, Anna?
correctly, you said loud and clear. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can. Oh, that seems.
All right. Apologies for the network interruption, but we are here and we are, doing something great with this topic. Adeze said something, she's seconding what Matilda said, that yes, it depends on the child's maturity, intelligence when it comes to, following the rules of engagement. You test them little by little under strict, guidance. And when you see that they're up to it, then you let them have it. We've had parents who say that the children have to get to the age of 16 first before they use smartphones. What do you think? You are watching this screen right now. What do you think? Do you think that a child should get to a certain age? And if you think so, what age do you think it's appropriate for a child to start using digital devices, smartphones, and all? We want to hear what you think. Please leave a comment. If you want to join this conversation as well, kindly leave a message, leave a comment. We will bring you in. Okay. Once again, thank you for joining us on this conversation. We would ask again that you share this broadcast. We are talking about parental strategies, for children in this digital age. All right, we want to raise our children right. We do not want them to be exposed to, security issues online, whatever it is. We want to raise our children right. So that's the essence of the whole conversation today. All right, so I'm going to be on because she talked about the kids getting to a certain level of maturity before having access to smartphone. Please, can you just discuss the importance further of teaching children critical thinking and digital literacy?
Okay,
Matilda, that's your
yes.
question.
Can you hear me now? I was talking the other time, but I think
Loud and clear.
no one heard me. Okay. So can you take the question again, please? I didn't get that.
All right. I want you talked about you talked about the child getting to a certain level of maturity before giving them access to smartphones. So we want you to really delve a bit deeper into the importance of teaching children critical thinking and digital literacy. Children critical thinking and digital literacy. Thank you.
Okay. So teaching children critical thinking and digital literacy. Like I said, digital literacy is important for today's world. So not every child, like every child that is of age and that is matured, like Daisy said, like evaluation and all that, and over time, you'll be able to know exactly your child's level. So when you've actually ascertained that your child is ready to have this
All right. Can you hear me? I think Matilda is experiencing internet or network hiccup. She should be right back in a bit. We are still discussing raising children in the digital world, and we want to look at parenting strategies for the future. All right, so I would read some
can you hear me
comments that
now?
I see here. Are you back, Matilda?
I'm back. I'm sorry, that was
No.
just a little. Oh yeah, I'm back.
Okay,
So
that's fine.
yes,
Go ahead.
yes, I was talking about I was talking about sorry, what was the question again? We're talking about why it's important to teach them critical thinking and digital literacy. So you cannot take digital the importance of being digitally literate from today's world. It's important because everywhere you go to in schools and all that, they need to have access. They need to know how those things work. But like was said earlier, it depends on their maturity. Once that has been valued and ascertained that this child is, mature, you can start telling them, talking to them about adaptability and resilience. So it's one thing for us to say now this child is ready to have access to those tools, and it's another thing for us to say they can actually shoulder or adapt or take anything that comes to them. So I am not with my child, a child that I think is matured enough to be on the internet, on social media, for example, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, or whatever it is. And this child goes on this platform and gets some reactions, some comments, some things from people that are kind of we know how children can be these days, how children can be today. So when they get these things, how can they cope with it? So it's important to teach them how they can shoulder this, is how they can cope, how they can take things, knowing that these people are behind the screen. They're not as important as people around you. They don't have any say in whatever you do or how you are, So it is important for them to know this thing so they can actually thrive in this world, this digital world where they've been introduced to. So, and also to think, critical thinking in that aspect is for them to know, be able to separate what is important from what is not. It's like someone telling me that I don't know, like we have racism too, like children, it falls under bullying. Like you look this way, you are this, you're that. I am actually a fan of programs where they talk about children, like the things they go through. Children go through bullying and all that. And when I hear things that children actually have to listen to, I'm like, wow. And some children are not matured enough to know that these things should affect me because this person has no importance in my life. There's nothing this person says that can actually change the way I walk, the way I talk, or anything. So it's important for them to be able to, to take some things and throw it in the trash, and take some things and the other things and use it, the ones that are important for them, and use it to better themselves. So I don't know if I answered your question. It is just to summarize it. It's good to teach them so they can be able to know when to, to take things to heart, and when not to take things to heart.
Yeah, thank you, Matilda. That was quite insightful because if you do not prepare them for the life they're going to meet in the internet, it might be very difficult on them. So it's very important for them to get to a stage where they can understand so they can deal with issues of cyberbullying, whatever it comes. Because I think you made mention of, racism or whatever they can actually encounter online. Thank you so much for that. That was quite insightful, Matilda. Dr. Osaro has a question for Adeze. He said, can you give us some insights, stroke ideas of how to manage a child's demand for a smartphone? It's not the right time, but their friends already have one, and they are, I think, let's just leave it at that. But their friends already have one. So how do you manage a child demanding for a smartphone when you think it's not the right time? That means they are not emotionally or matured or for using a smartphone. How do you tell them wait?
Yes, this is a very good question that parents always encounter. It's just having, I believe, being open and honest is the way around it. And then as a parent, I would tell you immediately, I'll say, look, I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're ready for the phone now. And I would explain why. And it's left for the child to prove that he or she is ready for this, and then would have to put in some goals and some things in place. And I'll gradually, watch and coach this child to get to that stage where the child gets to that maturity I need. Like Matilda rightly said, there is no right age for it. It's just when your child is ready. For me, I gave my children their first phones when they got to secondary school, and this was because I wanted to be able to reach out to them just in case, because they were in a new environment. I wanted to be able to reach out to them, or they could reach out to me if they are stuck in some way. So it was really necessary for me to get them to that point where they could use the phone. And I had to explain to them, this phone would only be used. You shouldn't use it in class. You should only use this phone if you can't come back home to me and you need to reach me. So clear boundaries should be set. You know, you explain the goals to the child, you tell the child, look at the kind of things that could happen. You gauge to see, is this child able to understand these instructions? Is this child able to weigh the risk? Does this child understand what I'm saying? And you just gradually coach the child into getting to that maturity, but never leave the child unassisted with the phone. Even when you feel the child has gotten to that stage, I, as a parent, what I normally do is I try as much as possible to gradually introduce. What I would encourage is gradually introduce and still, you know, gradually check. So, but I never give a child that is not ready for the phone or a device. I wouldn't do that. I would explain. I'll be very open and honest.
All right, there's something that's coming to my mind. There are two things. The first is you made mention of, you said if the child is pressing on YouTube, give them access to smartphones, that you would ask them to prove that they're matured enough first before you give them.
Yes.
So I want to ask first, what indices are you looking at? How would you measure that this child is actually matured enough? That is one. Then secondly, this is going to be to Matilda, who is an educational administrator. They are the ones that set policies for the schools and everything. I would like to know, is it okay for children of secondary school to have access to phones at all? Is it okay? Because some people think that children in secondary school should not even be holding the phone at all. Do you think it is okay at that age for them to have a phone that they use without their parental supervision? So first question, Adese, to you. What are the indices you're looking at?
Good. So
to say this child is matured enough
I'll be looking at, it's all about communication. I'll be communicating with this child. I already know this child, this is my child. So having that communication from the questions the child asks, you know, I would want to see how curious is the child, what questions are they asking. When they see instances, when they see things, what are their opinions about it? So those are the things I'll be looking at. Do they know how to verify and know the difference between bad and good? Can they check information? You know, do they understand the concept of cyberbullying? Can they rely on that? Can they just, you know, get depressed as a result of it? What, you know, do they understand money? You know, the concept of money and the fact that if you take this, if you keep using something like this, it could affect the parents financially. Do they understand all this? So we'll have to put all those things in place. I'll be looking at their understanding of of all these things. There's a lot that goes into place. I would look at, and knowing my child, I would be able to say, okay, I think this child is ready. And even if I feel the child is ready, I would trial run this device just by sitting close to the child, close monitoring, trying to find out exactly what they understand, what they feel they could use the device for. The child should be able to tell me what he or she wants to use the device for, and they have to show me that they're able to use this device safely before I could say, you know what, I think, yes, this is time.
Thank you. Sorry, I get a delay. That's why it seems like I'm cutting you, but it's not so. I'll think you are done talking and then I try to say something. It's all about the network. My apologies for that. Okay, you were saying something. I think we need to make it clear what Adese is saying, that parameters to check their maturity over the use of smartphone is not really set on stone. Her own method is communication and asking questions, making sure that they are able to take in the information and understand concepts like cyberbullying, racism. They can understand that whatever people say about them doesn't matter. It's what they really are, what they think of themselves, or what their parents tell them they are, that actually matters. So they are not being influenced by whatever they see online. I'm just trying to broaden the scope of what she just said now. They are not being affected by any kind of things that go on online. So she said communication and then testing out a bit first, closely monitoring them first before you plunge into giving them full access to the smartphone. Thank you very much, Adesi, for that. Dr. Sarah asked a question before Matilda will tell us what she thinks. The other question I asked her about whether it's appropriate for secondary school. I think you can answer same time with this question the doctor is asking. He said, could you kindly give us some strategies on alternate activities we can occupy the kids with when they crave screen time? That's over to you, Matilda.
Okay, so yeah, to answer your first question about we talked about, is it appropriate to give children in secondary school a phone? Okay, so I'll answer that question. It's still the same thing I'm talking about. It's not about the level of education they're in. It's about their level of maturity. So a child in secondary school, yeah. Okay, before I go there, let me not mix it up. Having a phone is one thing, and having access to the social media is another thing. So like Adeze rightfully said, she gave her children phone at secondary school because she wanted to reach them. It is important today because the world we live in today is not safe for our children. So you would want to know at each time. For example, if you have kids who come home on their own every day, you want to know where they are, what they're doing, at what time they'll get, especially for parents who work and the children will come home in their absence. So it's important you have a means of communication. So let's try to separate the issue of having a phone and having access to digital materials. They are two different things. So I can actually give my child a phone and let's give him access to, for example, like a call card, like not necessarily a call card, that take like a phone plan for him, so I can actually reach him. He can reach me. It's very important for the child to have a means of communication with the parents. That being said, a child in, let's not also forget the fact that in the bid, the search or the bid to reduce, to protect our children and to reduce, to help them cope with the world, the digital world today. Let us not lose sight of the importance of them being literate in this aspect. So because you don't want a child who, you deprive the child of these things, and tomorrow, like in a year, 2 years, he's with his mates, like in school and all that, and he's just off. He doesn't even know what is happening. We need to teach them. It's important they have the knowledge of these things, but also there should be a control, like a means of controlling the activities. Now there's this publication, this thing in France. Like when I watch TV, there's this app. I saw a parent, like they were advertising, where you put it on the child's phone and you have access to everything the child does. Like you're seeing if the child is playing a particular kind of game, if how many minutes the child is spending on that game and all that, and you can actually block his access to the phone. Like the minute you click on block, the phone goes blank. So you can have that tool, that you put on your child's phone to monitor every detail. It's possible. So yeah, so when you say that your child is mature enough to have the phone, these are some things you can put in place to help them cope. But you should not take it completely, like at a particular stage in their lives, they should be literate. There was a time I visited Nigeria, and I was hearing people say, I think there's some private schools that give their children access, the students access to computers. Like, we need computers. Why would they need computers? They're spoiling the children and all that. No, these things are important because we want children who, by the time they are mature, in quote, like they're grown, they've gotten to 17, 18, they go to the university, they're able to use these things. It's not that time that they'll have this delay in the knowledge of how these things have been done. So let's be careful and try to balance it. That's why we're here, to understand how these things can be balanced and know that it is not just a general thing like we do. Like no, there's no general, there's no one size fits all answer to these things. That's what the question about that Enoch asked. So if I want
All right. I think we lost her for a bit. She should be back to answer Dr. Saro's question when he asked if she could give some strategies on alternate activities to occupy kids when they crave screen time. Okay, while we're waiting for Matilda to get back at the
I
stage,
am back. Can you hear me now? I'm sorry about that.
you are
So,
here in two places.
I don't
Yes,
know
we can
what
hear you
happened.
loud and clear. You are
Okay,
forgiven.
I am sorry. So the thing is, since I'm using my
It's
phone,
okay.
I have
All
calls
right.
coming in, and most times when they come in, they just cut me off. Yeah. So I don't know if I answered your question,
Okay.
about whether it's okay to give children phones in secondary school. So I'll be going straight to Dr. Osaro's questions about. Could you kind of give us some strategies on alternate activities we can occupy the kids with when they crave screen time? That also depends on the child you have, so you need to understand what your child loves doing, and then you can introduce such things to the child. I'll take my son as an example. My son likes everything that has to do with construction. So imagine he's telling me, mommy, I want the phone, I want some. For example, um I wouldn't just tell him, no, let's go outside to play. I know the minute I tell him, he calls it bidouille in French. The minute I tell him, let's do bidouille, he's excited. He will ask me, where's the glue gun? Where is this? Where is that? And automatically will forget about everything he was talking about when he was talking about screen time. So what you need to do is to know what your child
Hmm.
enjoys doing. There are kids who love creative arts and crafts. There are kids who love music and dance. Like my daughter, she loves to dance. So imagine she's telling me I want screen time and I just put on the music. She would just get on her feet and start dancing. Automatically, we are no longer talking about screen time. So you need to understand what your child loves to do and you introduce it to that child at that time. So I think that's the best way I can answer that question. I can give different types of, activities, like I said, arts and crafts, outdoor play, children who like going out, children who like reading and they like storytelling. There are also other educational games you can, put, but it depends on what your child loves to do, basically.
All right. Sorry about that. Network is really not her friend today, but I think she. Can you hear me, Matilda?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
All right. Thank you for that contribution. She said something about understanding your children's passion when it comes to activities. Could be games, could be dance, like the daughter, could be anything they like that you can engage in, and it could be dolls, whatever. When girls like doing doll things, you help them take care of their doll, whatever thing it is. Anything that would take their mind away from screen time. I think that makes a whole lot of sense. I want to read a comment shaking table before I jump right into the next question. He says, I have a personal experience with a child who was exposed at an early age to smartphone usage. The child, now 8 years old, has gotten so used to the smartphone and taking it away from her is causing serious problems in the house. She is withdrawn and not doing well. Please help me with strategies on what to do now. I am overwhelmed and exhausted already. SOS. So this is a situation critical, save our soul kind of question. Yeah, she needs or he needs strategies to help a child that is withdrawn because of addiction to smartphone. So this will be over to the professional, Matilda. How do you think
Okay, so I
we
said,
can help that
yeah.
child?
Okay, so now the thing is, we need to understand, like the parent needs to understand, know what exactly the child does with a smartphone. Does she watch cartoons, and all that? So the solution, the first step would be not to take the phone completely from the child, but to revamp the phone, like the content of that phone, and put things that are beneficial to the child in that phone and give it to the child. For example, I'm taking YouTube out of the phone. I'm giving an example. It might not necessarily be, you know, the case. Or maybe I'm taking YouTube out of the phone and I'm putting, you know, we have some educational games that we can put, like, that help them, you know, to think, you know, words and all those stuff. I'm putting that in the phone. I'm putting maybe music apps or whatever on the phone, and I'm giving that smartphone to the child. So the child, and also explaining to the child, there's also the aspect of explaining, like the child understanding. There was a friend of mine that told me something, yeah, although I'm in the educational sector, but we learn every day. She told me something. She used to have this problem with her daughter, where the daughter was really addicted to the phone. No matter what you give to her, as long as she's with the phone. And they told her, they were like, the school, I think the teachers and all that said, before you give her this phone, let her know she has 5 minutes, for example. Children are, it's easy for them for you to, you know, what's the to shape them, you know. So you tell her you have 5 minutes, so she's understood that she has 5 minutes. So there is this rules, they've put this rules, put these rules in place for this child to know, I have 5 minutes. So within this 5 minutes, I'm going to do this, and that. So now she saw the difference, like, as against when there was no laid down rule and regulation for this child. So now, when it's almost 5 minutes, she'll tell the child, you have 2 more minutes. And the child, at the point she tells the child, come or give me, the child will hand over whatever the mother wants her to give her. She'll hand it over to the mother directly. So now the child should be able to understand, I'm giving you this phone with all the safe things I'm putting on it. You don't need to tell her all that, but you have 5 minutes to use this phone. And at the end of the 5 minutes, you're asking her to give it back to you. You do it the first day, you do it the second day, it becomes a routine. Children are good with routines. They want routine, they need it in their lives. Where there is disorder, a child cannot function. So you need to have laid down, you know, structure on how to deal with your child. It might also be other aspects. It might not necessarily be only the phone. So a laid down structure on how to handle this child, letting the child know that this is 5 minutes is 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The first time she'll throw tantrums, the second time, but after a while, she will get used to that routine and it will be a part of her. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. What you say is actually in line with what our observations, or my own observation has been on how they help people with addiction. It could be with drugs, and that's what Matilda is saying. You allow them to have that phone, but what you do is regulate. First, you take off those things that are unhealthy and replace them with things that will edify or things that will help them intellectually or whatever it is. And then they like to be shaped by rules as well. You let them know that their activity with the smartphone is time bound. That's what Matilda is saying. All right, so thank you very much for that. Adeze, I would like to ask, we've talked about this, but I want to ask you a question so that for the benefit of those that were not here earlier, how to educate children on privacy, online etiquette, and the dangers of the digital world.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
How do you educate them? How do you talk to the kids? I think more parents, more parents need to really, because when you see some crazy comments online, you ask, do these people really have a parent? Why would you come online and make some very stupid remark like this? So how do we teach these children that there's a proper way to, you know, browse through the internet and, you know, relate with the world?
Well, thank you so much, Eno. For me, I would always advocate for open communication. Having that having that communication with your children, and also role modeling, because I believe that people can only impact what they have. You need to have that space where you can speak to your child safely, and you can tell the child, look, you need to, your ethics that you hold at home, you need to allow it to show everywhere. I would be teaching the children healthy habits, such as gradually, you know, telling them they could verify all facts that they get from the internet. Not everything is true. And I'll be showing them how to check to see, how to verify things, and encouraging that when they are curious, having that safe environment to come to me with their questions. No question is a stupid question, because I know back in the days when I was growing up, there's some questions you cannot ask your parents, but you should be able to, be that open to your child. Well, I say be a friend, so that the child can always bring those questions to you.
All right.
He said, how do you educate them, right? And then in terms of cyberbullying, letting them understand that only people with poor upbringing talk recklessly. So if you see any reckless talk, you should feel sorry for the person. It's not a time for you to engage and reward such behavior, but you need to learn to rise above that. So it's just being close to them, having that open safe space with your child where they can come to you with anything and everything. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Truly. Thank you, Adeze, for that. We need to really talk to them. Like I said, the comments I see on social media, and I'm like, from youngsters, don't they have any parental training? Why they lose online? The kind of contents they upload, the kind of comments they make, whatever it is. I'm hoping that parents that are watching to groom their children on etiquettes, how to use social media. I like when Matilda pointed out something that let us separate it. Giving children devices or smartphone is different from giving them access to the internet. So giving them access to devices and smartphone, any child can use that because you want to get access to them, you want to communicate with them. The problem is the internet part of it. Giving them access to devices too is equally good. Matilda, I'm just trying to summarize what she said. It's equally good as well because we want them to be informed. We want them to be at par with their colleagues in the other parts of the world. All right. It's not like they leave secondary school and go to the university and they have no idea what it is like to access them, please bring a mouse, they'll be looking for a rat, that kind of thing. So we don't want to see any of that. At this point, I want to ask viewers, if you have any questions, please leave it. We want to read comments. I'm trying to go see comments and then so that we can answer. We have people who have been good with our page, liking and commenting. We want to appreciate every one of you. Thank you so much. So before we wrap up, we have just one question each, one for Matilda and one for Adeze. I keep calling her the name that I'm so fond of calling her. Please bear with me. All right, so Matilda, just give us a little bit on the future. What do you think about the future of parenting in an ever-evolving digital world? What do you think is going to be like? How do you think? Because the way our parents handled us is different from how we are handling our kids now. Some people will say we are really spoiled. The children of this generation, if they had parents like the kind of things they do. So now we are thinking that this generation is having a problem. What do you think the future of parenting would be? Because there is going to be continuous advancement in technology, and this smartphone, whatever it is, internet, and it's going to go very, very crazy. What do you think is going to be the future of parenting?
The future of parenting, as regards the digital, world. I just believe it will continue to change, right? And because we're having more, like, there's how would I put it, advancement in this part, this digital world and all that. So I believe that parents, you rightfully said, our parents of then, I don't think they understand what is happening today because of the realities are different. So as parents, we should also try to update and upgrade our, to be informed, because we are working with children who are being exposed to these things. Sometimes we can actually restrict. I think most times I tell people that there is a battle between what is being taught at home and what they get in school. So I can actually decide to say, this is how I want my house to be. When you're home, you do this, you do that. But when they get to school, especially in this part of the world where we live in, it's most times it's different what they get, what they're exposed to, and what they're taught. So you as a parent should be able to put yourself in a position where you are also informed. You know what is happening per time. Because without that knowledge, you cannot help a child who is, or accompany a child who knows these things, who knows better than you. So you should be, like friends will say, a la page. You should be you should be informed on this thing. So that's the only way parents can actually thrive in the evolving digital world.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. I'm trying so that we could wrap up. We are just a bit beyond the time set for this conversation. I want to ask Adeze at this point, how can parents future-proof their children against the uncertainties of technology's rapid evolution? I think Esther has touched on that. So what can be your concluding statement on this one?
I didn't get the question. Hello.
All right. How can parents future-proof their children against uncertainty or uncertainties of technology's rapid evolution? How do you future-proof them? How do you get them prepared for the advancement in technology? Yeah.
How do you, sorry, I don't know, I'm really struggling to get what you're saying. How do you future-proof the children?
Okay, so
sorry, can you repeat?
I think Matilda has touched on it. Matilda has already touched on it, like preparing them for the rapid change of the way things are changing. How do you prepare these children? Because they are going to be exposed to even crazier contents, speed, internet, so many things are coming up. How do you how do you prepare them for that? Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So what I would say to that is to introduce technology early. Like I keep saying, we need to gradually introduce these children to this technology and allow them to learn from us. Because if we don't allow them learn from us, even if we think that keeping them away from these devices would help them, they can still get it from their friends, and the way it will be introduced might not be something that would meet our expectations as parents. So if we are very involved and introduce the technology early, helping the children understand the advantages of this technology they have, focus on the good and what it can help you achieve, work with the child, encourage critical thinking with these with digital devices, by asking them questions whilst they are using it, trying to understand their understanding of the devices and the technology, getting to know what they watch, reducing screen time as well, because you want to create that balance. You don't want the child to be so much online and lose sight of reality. So it's all about bringing that balance, and also you're thinking about the child's eyes, as well as child exposure. Also keeping an eye out for negative content and putting some kind of bars, like using the parental control to prevent things like porn, cyberbullying, gambling, and things like those evil vices that a child shouldn't be introduced to. And if for any reason, because nowadays things like, I'm sorry to say this, is it okay to say the porn, the adult things, sometimes it just pops in without even one knowing it. Suddenly you are seeing an adult picture. So when that happens, if you are close to your child, you need to be able to have that open conversation to say, look, this is not age appropriate for you. So it's in fact, it's a long list, to be honest. But the most important thing is balance, giving that adequate balance between online and offline life. I think those are the
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, as you were talking, you actually brought my mind to something, security on social media, because this is what I experience. Some of these things, like you said, just pop up. Now we're talking about give them access to phone. Are they permitted to use social media like Facebook? Because yes, we have to think about their security. You need to educate them. Now we're talking about future proofing them. There are a lot of funny things going on online. There are people that are hackers pretending to be profiles that they just post things and you click on them and they have access to your information. They could have access to pictures that are, there's this word, blackmailed because of the content they had. There are cases of children being blackmailed because of the content that hackers had, access to. So we need to teach them that the social media, the internet is not really as safe as they think it is. To teach them about malicious links, teach them about giving people access to certain information that they shouldn't, and the kind of content they keep in their smartphones that people can use against them so they are not blackmailed. Because I've heard of children who committed suicide because someone blackmailed them. So this is actually a very huge topic that we need to be very mindful of. We need to really, really future proof our children. We need to educate them, help them groom thinking skills, whatever it is. It's been quite a wholesome conversation. Thank you so much, Matilda, for this insight into this topic. I'm sure parents listening to this would have taken one or two from this. We really, really appreciate you coming on. We table it today. Adeze, the same for you. It was a surprise having you today on this live. We didn't plan it, but I am so excited. I'm so glad you could make it. I don't know. Can we hear a word from Esiri or from Valerie? I want to hear one thing just before I call it a day today on this broadcast.
Hi, Eno, and hi to Matilda, Adeze, and
Ever
Esiri.
radiant.
And oh my goodness,
Ever beautiful.
Can you hear me?
Mhm. Yes,
Great.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, dear. We can hear you.
Yes. If you hear noises in the background, it's my little person. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for this topic. I've gotten so many tidbits and a lot of understanding, because definitely when it comes to raising our children in this digital space, it's not easy. I was glad to hear things I could relate with, like how smart these children are and how we need to really collaborate with our kids so that they can understand the dangers more. Because I think as parents, it's easy for us to understand, but sometimes difficult to communicate with them. So I just wanted to thank you both so much for the tips that you shared. There's so many things I can action on immediately, and that's when I know that a talk has really resonated with me. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Welcome.
All right, Valerie, thank you so much. I was hoping to hear something from Miss Siri, but I think she's out now. All right, so from all of us on We Table It, thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward, and we want you to look forward to another exciting one next week. I wouldn't want to release that information now. We're going to be sharing it on our page, so please follow us. And please share this page. You want us to grow? Please help us grow. We want to grow along with you. Once again, thank you. And from all of us on We Table It, my co-host, Dr. Osaro Aigbogun and Valerie Siganga, you just heard from her. It's been a pleasure hosting you on this broadcast. Enjoy the rest of your day. And bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.